going on, guys? Dorco back again. Hope you're fantastic today, and welcome to the interview with Scott Cawthon. I am so excited and nervous at the same time. I'm so freaking nervous for this, but it's going to be great. I've got a bunch of questions to ask him from all of the games, so FNaF 1 through till Ultimate Custom Night, and the future as well. So we're going to ask him some future updates, what he's planning, and stuff about himself as well. So it's going to be a great interview. Please understand as well that I've got a lot of questions, but I couldn't ask everybody's, of course. I got like literally 10,000 questions from you guys, so I had to pick each ones, and I gave Scott the questions, and we've reviewed them together for the ones he wants to answer. Okay, so yeah, that's all I need to say. Thank you so much for the support, and again, thank you, Scott, for the opportunity to give you an interview. I am incredibly nervous. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I'm incredibly grateful for you guys and Scott as well, and this franchise. Happy anniversary to FNaF. 4 years today. It's insane. Let's go. Hello?
Hello. If you're hearing this, that means that you beat 50/20 mode, and I have to do an interview now, which I'm kind of uncomfortable with, but I'm going to do it. Forget it. Okay, I'm done with the phone guy shtick, so I was going to try and keep it going for a while, but no, I think I'll just end it right there.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect.
So how are you doing today, Lewis?
I am very scared and nervous, because, you know.
No, that's crazy talk. Yeah, I've been a little anxious about this too, because I tend to ramble on with my answers sometimes, but I haven't prepared any answers for this. I'm just going to try to speak from the heart and just talk about some stuff, and yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, awesome. Because today is the 4-year anniversary of Five Nights at Freddy's. So 4 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, 4 years.
And we'll just get straight into it. So the first game, so 4 years since Five Nights at Freddy's 1, we're going to go straight into that. So the first question I'd love to ask you, kick it off with, how did you think of the original designs of the animatronics? So the original gang.
The main three characters, Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica, those designs just kind of, I didn't really plan ahead like what animals they should be. Those three just kind of seemed natural to me for some reason. Mm-hmm. The only one I really struggled with was trying to think of the fourth character, who would be on the separate little stage kind of by himself.
Yeah. And
I'm trying to remember all the options that I originally was kind of debating between. I mean, one of the contenders was a fox, obviously, which ended up winning. The other one was a wolf. Another one was going to be a beaver, but then later I decided against that because I thought that was too on the nose from Chipper, so I decided against that. But yeah, actually, if I remember correctly, I really think that a beaver character was the front runner until I finally decided against him because of Chipper, and then went with Fox instead.
Yeah. So Freddy was always going to be the original leader instead of Chipper.
Yeah. Freddy was always going to be the main character. He was the first character that I made. Mm-hmm. It just came naturally. I didn't have to plan him out. I just knew that he was going to be a bear with a top hat, holding a microphone.
Yeah.
He was always going to be the leader of the pack.
The next question is, how did you come up with the game mechanics? So sitting alone in an office, not being able to move. I think someone mentioned about Sit and Survive. Did that have any inspiration for that? Any old games inspire you for this one?
Well, I don't think it was Sit and Survive. Sit and Survive was just kind of all of these games. Well, then again, I guess it was my mindset at the time, because my mindset at the time was to make smaller games. Mm-hmm. And that would be kind of a shorter experience, because for a while I was trying to make these, big kind of sweeping epic games like the Desolate Hope and stuff, and it was just too much of a gigantic commitment that ultimately that they just weren't paying off. And at the time I was really struggling to find something to kind of support my family and everything. Mm-hmm. And Five Nights at Freddy's was kind of the result of me switching to this idea of making these shorter experiences that I can make a bit faster, without committing, 2 years to them, while also, just making it a really robust experience. It's just a shorter game,
Yeah.
So I think that played a big part in it. Everything is designed to where you see everything right away. As soon as you jump in, you're in the experience. And so it doesn't matter if it lasts for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. You're in the middle of it right away. And yeah.
Did anything change along the course of making FNaF 1?
I don't think I had any problems. Lots of the stuff that was in there, I don't know. Five Nights at Freddy's 1, I think just was a result of just all the right ingredients to be there. I threw a bunch of stuff in there, and then people would the people who test it would kind of give me, and I'm not my kids. I let some other people test it as well. But they would give me some advice. Like one person said, "Oh, I think you should leave out Phone Guy. I think that's too much exposition." And then my mother jumped in and said, "Oh, I don't think you should have backstory about anybody getting killed. I don't think the game needs that." And then I think I made a lot of good decisions about what to leave in, and what to take out. And it was just all the right ingredients. All the right ingredients were there. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out.
It really stood out from all of the indie games everybody was playing at that time, and that's definitely how it became successful. It just stood out from any other horror experience as well. So yeah, good job. Really good job. Speaking about that, about it exploding, did you think it was going to, get a huge reaction on the internet?
No, of course not. I mean, but like I said, at the time, I was just trying to, make a bunch of little games to kind of, help support my family. And at the time, I think I was making, slot machine games and just, anything would bring in an extra, $40 or $50 a month, and just trying to accumulate all that stuff up. So no, whenever I mean, don't get me wrong, that wasn't just an afterthought of a game. I mean, I put a lot of, time and effort into Five Nights at Freddy's, obviously, but as far as, expecting it to explode, no, of course not. I remember whenever I released it, I didn't get it on Steam or anything. It was a website called Desera at the time, which was just more immediately welcoming of, anybody who wanted to post games. I think there are other sites that do that now. But, I was watching the download count on that, and I was watching it just kind of skyrocket. And, and eventually my wife would come over and she'd be like, let me look at the number. Let me look at the number. She'd come over every 10 minutes wanting to see, because she was just astonished at how quickly that number was just going from, 5,000 downloads, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. It was just going through the roof just by the minute, And it really, at the time, I was just kind of enjoying it that evening. I was like, well, this is great. This is, but it'll be over tomorrow. And that was really my mindset. It's like, oh wow, this is, it's a big spike. Everybody's really enjoying it. I wonder what I'm going to make tomorrow. I had no idea that 4 years later, I was still going to be in the middle of a bunch of, Five Nights at Freddy's projects. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's really awesome. Do you have a favorite memory of Five Nights at Freddy's 1?
Yeah, I do. And it's the first jump scare for me and the first jump scare for my two kids, and it was all Bonnie, which thrills me, because Bonnie is kind of the only one that I think is a scary design for me. Like I've never had a nightmare about any of my own characters except for Bonnie. But yeah, I remember when I was developing the game at the time, Bonnie was just a still image and not an animated jump scare. I just had an image of Bonnie up in your face for whenever he had reached you. Yeah. And that startled me. I was flipping through the panels and stuff, and I was intentionally I was testing out the AI. Yeah. I think I even had a little map showing me that there was a little red dot moving through the building. But even though I was expecting it, I put down the monitor and there was Bonnie looking at me, and it was upsetting. It was startling. Yeah. And now now that doesn't really startle anybody anymore, but at the time, I don't know, it got me. And so then I was after I'd animated, I was letting my two sons play it, and I was getting to watch the. I had a good seat behind both of them, so I was able to get a good view of them playing and what they were playing and everything. Mm-hmm. And I knew what was coming, and they had no idea. and the younger of the two, he got jump scared by Bonnie, and he just launched backward in his chair. Good times tormenting the children.
I mean, you still do. You made them test Ultimate Custom Night as well. 4 years on.
No, I'll tell you what. My two sons, Ian and Braden, they've been great. They've been great supporters. All these years, I couldn't have done any of this without those two. They've been just faithful beta testers for me. And whenever they were really little, I'd pay them through ice cream and stuff like that. But I made a big mistake this last time with Braden. Obviously I don't make them do this, so I tried to incentivize them. And Braden and Braden's gotten wise to it. He's like, well, how about if I go through and beat all these challenges, And so I just thought, well, I don't know, I'll give you, I'll give you $20 for each of the challenges you beat, thinking he was going to beat one or two of them. I was like, yeah, he'll spend 30 minutes on this, so I'll commit 20, 40, $60, whatever. He sat there and he did like a 12-hour marathon on that game. He was playing it nonstop. He was raging so hard in there, and he completed every single one of those challenges except for like the last one, I think. Yeah. That boy made bank that day. He walked away with about $300.
Oh, worth it.
yeah, man. But it was totally worth it because he found bugs and glitches that would have been really bad. I mean, that's the whole point anyway. He found these things that I needed to fix before I released the game. So
okay, here's an interesting question about FNaF 1. Was there any reason why the kitchen camera was disabled, like due to gameplay limits on click team or anything like that?
No. I just thought it would be interesting. I mean, that mechanic ended up not really playing a big role in anything. Mm-hmm. I think originally, I had wanted, and I got better with this in later games, how to make audio play a bigger role in it. I got better at that. But in the first one, that was just my attempt to make audio play a bigger part in it. Yeah. But yeah, it kind of ended up just being just something different and not really being a major mechanic or anything. Yeah,
I mean, I think it was a good mechanic to know that Freddy was in the kitchen as well, because when Freddy's in the kitchen, he plays his music, right?
That's right. That's right.
So I think it does play a mechanic, because you know that Freddy's in there, and usually when Freddy's roaming around, you see his eyes, but you just see nothing inside there. So when you were making Five Nights at Freddy's 1, were you already planning on making a sequel, or any other ideas what were flinging in your head on what to do?
I definitely left a lot of things open-ended, in case I wanted to expand upon them later. I mean, obviously, like I did not have the entire story planned out, as I know there's much debate about that on the subreddit. It's like, he's some kind of mad genius that had 7 games planned out from the beginning. No, I didn't. But I definitely knew that the story I was telling in the first game was a small snippet of a larger story. Even if I didn't have all the details of that story fleshed out yet, I knew that the story being told in that game was a smaller part of a whole.
And if you could go back in time, is there anything you would change or add to Five Nights at Freddy's 1?
No, not the first one. Yeah. I can go back and think about all the other games and be like, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. But no, the first game was just kind of a perfect storm of ingredients. It was, it was just the right time. It was when, everybody was really into indie horror games. Yeah. And I think it was the right look, and it was the right feel, because it was something, different than what everybody else was playing. And it was, kind of a type of horror game, or at least the antagonists were something that hadn't really been explored in horror games, I didn't feel. The idea of animatronic creatures. So and you know, and everybody really liked Phone Guy. Obviously, everybody liked the little Easter eggs thrown in and the backstory. No, it was just a good mix of ingredients, and it was kind of lightning in a bottle. And I don't think I was ever able to fully capture that again, and I don't think I really will be able to. And that's okay. I mean, like I said, that was kind of lightning in a bottle.